Strawberry. The strawberry we eat today is not a fruit that existed in nature. It was developed in 18th century France by crossing two wild species from opposite ends of the Americas, one from the forests of eastern North America and another from the coast of Chile. That combination produced the balance of sweetness and acidity that defines the modern fruit, along with an aroma that remains almost impossible to replicate synthetically. Strawberries are rich in vitamin C and polyphenols, and they've appeared in European herbal traditions for centuries. Today, they're cultivated across an extraordinary range of climates, from California to Poland to Japan, where certain varieties are grown with such care that a single box can sell for prices that would seem absurd anywhere else. Raspberry. If strawberries represent balance, raspberries lean into intensity. The fruit grows on thorny canes and thrives in cooler climates, which explains its deep roots in European and North American cooking. Botanically, it's an aggregate fruit made up of dozens of tiny drupeles clustered around a hollow core, and that hollow center is exactly what distinguishes it from a blackberry when picked. The tartness softens considerably when heat is applied, which is why raspberries work as well in a sauce or jam as they do eaten fresh. They're also a meaningful source of fiber and ellagic acid, a plant compound associated with antioxidant activity that has drawn ongoing interest in nutritional research. Cherry. Cherries divide cleanly into two worlds. Sweet varieties like Bing are built for eating fresh, while sour types like Morello anchor centuries of Central European baking, preserving, and liqueur making. The cherry tree carries cultural weight well beyond its fruit. In Japan, the blossoming of ornamental cherry trees is a national event tied to themes of beauty and impermanence. And while those trees rarely bear edible fruit, they belong to the same family as the ones that do. Tart cherries are also among the more reliable dietary sources of melatonin, which has made their juice increasingly popular among people interested in natural approaches to sleep. Pomegranate. The pomegranate is one of the oldest cultivated fruits in the world. Depictions of it appear in Egyptian tombs, Greek mythology, and religious texts across multiple traditions, and its origin traces back to the region stretching from present-day Iran to northern India. From there, it spread across the Mediterranean over thousands of years, becoming embedded in the symbolism of fertility, abundance, and the cycle of life and death. The fruit holds hundreds of arils, small juice-filled seeds whose flavor shifts between tart and sweet depending on variety and ripeness. The juice is notably high in polycollagens and anthocyanins, compounds associated with the strong antioxidant activity that continue to attract significant scientific attention. Cranberry. Few fruits are as deeply tied to North American soil as this one. Indigenous peoples across the northeastern woodlands incorporated cranberries into pemmican, a dense survival food made from dried meat and fat, and also used the berries as a natural dye and medicinal ingredient long before European contact. Raw cranberries are nearly inedible due to their sharp acidity, which comes from a high concentration of organic acids. That same chemistry is linked to one of the fruit's most studied properties. Certain compounds in cranberries may help reduce bacterial adhesion in the urinary tract, which has made them a long-standing subject of clinical interest. Most of the global supply is harvested in bogs across Wisconsin, Massachusetts, and parts of Canada, through a flooding process that allows the buoyant berries to be collected from the water's surface. Red currant. The red currant is small and almost translucent, growing in tight hanging clusters on low shrubs across northern Europe. It lacks the sweetness of most red fruits, offering instead a clean tartness that holds up remarkably well in savory cooking. Red currant jelly, alongside roasted meats, is a pairing with centuries of history in British and French kitchens, and the berry appears throughout Scandinavian desserts in forms ranging from cold soups to glazes. It's also notably high in pectin, the natural gelling agent, which means preserves made from red currants set reliably without heavy reliance on added thickeners. Watermelon. The red flesh of a watermelon gets its color from lycopene, the same pigment responsible for the red in tomatoes. The fruit originated in the Kalahari Desert of Africa, and evidence of its cultivation in ancient Egypt goes back over 4,000 years. In arid climates, it served a practical purpose beyond nutrition. Its high water content making it a portable source of hydration in conditions where clean water was scarce. That water content still sits above 90% in modern varieties. Lycopene has been associated with cardiovascular benefits in nutritional research, and the red-fleshed types remain dominant in both production and consumption worldwide, even as yellow and seedless varieties continue to expand. Blood orange. A blood orange is indistinguishable from a regular orange on the outside, but the interior tells a different story. The flesh ranges from deep crimson to nearly purple-black depending on the variety and the conditions it ripened in. That pigmentation comes from anthocyanins, compounds that develop in citrus only when exposed to cold temperatures during the ripening period, which is unusual for the fruit family. Sicily has historically provided the ideal climate for this, and the island remains a primary producer of the most prized varieties. The flavor is also distinct, carrying a subtle berry-like undertone layered beneath the brightness expected from citrus. Blood orange juice looks more like a dark cocktail than a standard morning glass, which has made it a visual and culinary staple in Italian cooking for generations. Acai. The acai berry grows on a palm native to the Amazon rainforest, and for many indigenous communities in the region, it has functioned as a true dietary staple for centuries, sometimes supplying a substantial share of daily caloric intake. Most of the fruit's mass is seed rather than flesh, but the thin layer of pulp surrounding it is unusually rich in fat for a berry, which gives acai a dense, creamy quality, with a flavor often described as a cross between dark chocolate and blackberry. It gained international visibility in the early 2000s through aggressive superfood marketing, which produced some inflated claims, but the nutritional foundation is legitimate. High concentrations of anthocyanins, healthy fats, and fiber. Outside Brazil, it's consumed almost exclusively as frozen pulp blended into thick bowls topped with granola and fresh fruit. Goji Berry. The goji berry has a documented place in traditional Chinese medicine going back at least 2,000 years, where it was associated with supporting eye health, kidney function, and longevity. The plant itself grows in the arid interior regions of China and Mongolia, tolerating drought and poor soil conditions that most fruiting plants cannot survive. Fresh goji berries spoil quickly and rarely appear outside their native growing regions, so the dried form is what most of the world knows. The flavor is mildly sweet with a faint herbal edge, somewhere between a dried cranberry and a raisin. Contemporary nutritional research has found meaningful levels of zeaxanthin in the berry, a carotenoid associated with protecting the retina from oxidative damage related to UV exposure and aging.